Hey, this is Lisa sharing life stories and life tribulations and hardnesses and goodnesses and everything with you. I don't know why I'm putting makeup on now. It's the end of the day, but I just look so washed out. I want to tell you guys a little story, parts and bits of life that maybe will help you guys, right? Everybody's got stories to tell. And I see that it seems like it's so hard for people to come out and tell stories. Well, anyways, this was when my grandfather passed away. And I don't know why, for some reason, my grandma was staying with us the whole time my grandpa was in the hospital. And I remember I was working at Taco Bell at the time. And I remember getting the call. I missed a lot of work then, and who cares? I remember getting the call from the hospital from my ma. We got to go to the hospital. They called. My grandpa isn't going to make it much longer. They could tell, he's shutting down. And the boss there was like, oh, there's some kind of big thing going on. I'm like, my grandpa's dying. Bye. Fire me. I don't really care. And, yeah. My grandfather did pass away that day. And by the time we got there, he was still like a little bit with it. My poor grandma. I felt so bad for her sitting. She was so old, and it was so heartbreaking to see her sitting on the bed, like next to the bed, trying to see my grandfather. And I remember when he passed, I went back in the room and I said, I love you and I'll take care of Grandma. And that's when things started. Somehow, I don't know what happened, but my mom and my grandma got in a fight for some dumb reason. I don't know what it was about. And I was taking my grandma home. And I felt so heartbroken. I was really young. I was like in my early 20s. Probably closer to earlier, like really early 20s. And I didn't want my grandma. My grandma couldn't make it by herself at the lake. They lived on the lake, Anchor Bay Drive, 8820 Anchor Bay Drive. And I don't know what they fought about was something really stupid, and I can't remember. And I can't ask either one of them aren't here to ask. My mother's passed away and my grandma. And it just killed me to leave my grandma like that. I kept saying, Grandma, come back home with us. And I felt so bad. It hurt my heart. I loved my grandma. I was close to my grandma on my mom's side. Very close to her. Way closer than my cousin was on my aunt's side. I loved my grandma. And I know she knows that. I remember when she passed, I smelt her perfume in the store, and I felt her there. Her perfume was that old-fashioned Emerald, and I felt her presence, and it was so weird. I can't explain it. You know what that is. I remember once I felt my mom in my mom and dad's house when my mom passed. I heard her say something, and for that 1 minute, all was right with the world again. When you feel your loved one's presence, I'm going to tell you something. And I've felt it a couple times with my mom. I think with my dad and my grandma. I felt like there's a complete difference how you feel. You feel all is right with the world, and you feel like normal again, like you did when they were there. Good, safe, and wonderful. And it only lasts for a couple seconds, a couple minutes, and I don't know how to explain it. And if anybody's ever felt that, I want you to reach out to me and let me know, because I've never really talked to anybody about that before. I felt like I just felt really good for that minute. That 1 minute, I felt their presence, and it was strong. So if anybody else has felt that, reach out to me. But I'm not going to be a real long story, but I'm going to just say, when I left my grandma, I just felt heartbroken. She was looking at me out of her little window, and I was driving away. But that only lasted a day. I don't know, a day or two. And then my mom and her made up, and then we got her back. I didn't think I went back to get her. My dad went back to get her, and my mom. She couldn't be there and live on her own. She was too old already. See, that's what happens when you're kind of same age with your spouse. Now, see, I'm 5.5, almost 6 years older than my husband. I'm a cougar. I don't know why younger guys have always been attracted to me. Seriously, my whole life it's been like that. I don't get it. But they got her back, and she lived at our house for 8 or 9 years. And she was so good to me. And one of the things I truly enjoyed doing was going to the Chinese restaurant by Big Boys. Back then, you could eat for $4.95. Your drink included, everything included. It was so good. And I was real sick. I went there one time, and I took all of my ma's, and she would get Inquirer magazines, and they were so good back then. And I got them all, and I went there and kept eating that hot soup. It made me better. I'm telling you, I got better that day because I just kept eating bowl after bowl after bowl. My favorite thing to do eating a Chinese restaurant is the egg drop soup with crab rangoon, broke up in little pieces with the cream cheese in the soup. It is to die for. It is to die for. Try it. Is to die for. Die for, hands down. My favorite thing. And they had broccoli and this something else chicken there. It was just different. Their food was so good there. And I can't eat much. Even though I'm fat, I'd sat there for sometimes 2 hours with the books and looking around and just, and their desserts. It was, I still remember this 20 years ago, and it was a great part of my life. And it was before I met my husband. But, yeah, I used to do that. I just love that. But, I just wanted to come on here and tell you, sometimes you got to open your heart in life. My mom was sickly. My dad was sickly, but my mom took my grandma in, and she made a lot of adjustments to keep my grandma and to do everything she could for her. And she tried to make the last 8 or 9, 10 years of my grandma's life good. My mom and dad treated my grandma really good. They did a lot for her. My dad used to get up like at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and make my grandma coffee every day. My mom didn't do that. My dad did that. Even though he was sickly, he did that to take care of my grandma. And that's how you love people in this world, by showing them those little things we say and do for them. By making somebody coffee, by giving somebody a smile, by trying to give somebody a couple bucks when they're down, by making somebody a lunch, by making somebody a dinner, by washing somebody's clothes, by cleaning somebody's car. These little things in life make you unforgettable. They make you have this bond with this person forever. Like, I used to have really bad skin with hair. My grandma used to pay every week $100 a week for me to get electrolysis. For like a year she spent that. And my mom and dad would say, you don't have to spend it. She goes, I want to. It's my money, and I want to do that for my granddaughter. And that was all. My grandma treated me really great, and I never will forget. I want to see her again when I croak. I love you, Olive. Olive Hildreth. It was really Olivia, but everybody called my grandma Olive, and she was good. She was sweet. She was sweet. She had what Michael Jackson had, that Vitiligo. I'm not saying it right. Vitiligo. I'm not maybe still saying it right. And I didn't know what it was for years. I just thought that was how my grandma was. She's supposed to be, her patches on her skin on her arms were like that. Not her face, but all up and down her arms. And it didn't matter. It was my grandma. I used to tell her, tell me stories so I'll never forget you. You know, my whole life. And I can't remember all the stories, but I loved my grandma. And I loved her being there. And she was good to me. She was really good to me. So love the people in your life. Remember, even though you might get mad at them, love the people. We're here for such a short time. This is just a reminder. Put a smile on your heart, smile on somebody else's face. Remember, life is fleeting. It's short. God bless you all. This is Lisa sharing life stories with you. Have a great day. Bye.